Welcome to the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium's Item and Task Development Training Module. This module will introduce educators to the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium's training series and procedures for developing items and performance tasks for its next-generation assessment system. In this module, educators will become familiar with several terms and concepts that are commonly used when discussing the development of items and performance tasks. Educators will be introduced to the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium and learn more about the Common Core State Standards, item and content specifications, and the various item and task types that will be developed for the Smarter Balanced Assessment System. Educators will also be introduced to the other modules that are available to help them prepare to develop and review items and tasks. Let's begin by providing an overview of the modules that have been developed to help prepare educators to design and review items and tasks. 3 modules will be presented to all item writers and reviewers, namely the Introduction module currently being viewed, a module on Evidence-Centered Design, and a module on Universal Design, Accessibility, Sensitivity, and Bias. Another set of modules focuses on the content and item specifications that item writers will use to guide the development and review of items and performance tasks. Separate modules exist for English Language Arts and for Mathematics. Within each content area, there are also modules that focus on the various item and task types that will be developed to measure student learning. Within each content area, there are also modules that focus on specific considerations that should be made when developing or reviewing items and performance tasks for elementary, middle, and high school grade levels. Again, within each content area, there is also a module that focuses on considerations that should be made when developing or selecting stimuli for items and performance tasks. Finally, there are modules that focus on the review of items. Collectively, these modules are designed to both prepare educators to develop the many items and tasks that will form the Smarter Balanced Next Generation Assessment System, as well as support educators in developing higher quality assessments in the classroom. Throughout this and other modules, it will be indicated when a separate module contains more detailed information about a topic or concept. Now, let's turn the focus to the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium and the assessment system that is in development. The Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium is a state-led consortium working to develop a next-generation assessment system aligned to the Common Core State Standards. The goal of the consortium is to ensure that all students, regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, economic status, or background, leave high school prepared for post-secondary success in college or careers. There are several key features of the Smarter Balanced Assessment System. Among these features are inclusion of interim and summative assessments, as well as formative assessment practices and tools that are designed to measure the Common Core State Standards. Use of a variety of item types including selected response, constructed response, extended response, and performance tasks designed to measure the full breadth and depth of the Common Core State Standards. Utilization of technology to enable the use of multimedia, rich interactions, and new types of responses to collect more valid evidence of student learning. The use of adaptive testing to more accurately and efficiently measure student learning. Incorporation of more powerful ways of reporting information, and a digital library of resources and tools for educators. To develop its next-generation assessment system, Smarter Balanced is engaged in a variety of activities, some of which include designing and developing new item types and new ways of scoring student responses, developing technologies that will be used to deliver, score, and present results from assessments, and piloting and field testing these items, tasks, and technologies. An important feature of Smarter Balanced is the active involvement of educators in the development and piloting of items and tasks. The goal is that together, Smarter Balanced and educators can create assessments that are both more accurate and more efficient. The Smarter Balanced Next Generation Assessment System is designed to measure students' learning of the important concepts, knowledge, and skills that form the Common Core State Standards. The Common Core State Standards for English Language Arts and Literacy in History, Social Studies, Science, and Technical Subjects, and the Common Core State Standards for Mathematics represent a set of expectations for student knowledge and skills that high school graduates need to master to succeed in college and careers. Throughout the training modules, the Common Core State Standards are sometimes referred to as the standards. The Common Core State Standards were developed by experts and educators from across the country and have been adopted by nearly every state in the U.S. The Common Core State Standards focus on core conceptual understandings and procedures starting in the early grades, thus enabling teachers to take the time needed to teach core concepts and procedures well, and to give students the opportunity to master them. One goal of the Common Core State Standards is to establish the same high expectations for all students across the country that, when achieved, will ensure that students are college and career ready. The purpose of the Smarter Balanced Assessment System is to provide tools that will help educators both formatively assess students' progress towards meeting the Common Core State Standards, as well as develop summative tools that measure student achievement of the standards at key points during each student's development. The Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium places strong value on educator participation in the design of the items and tasks that will form the assessment system. The Smarter Balanced item development process can be divided into 7 main steps. The first step focuses on developing specifications for the items and tasks that are to be created. The specifications define what knowledge, skills, and abilities are to be measured. These specifications also describe the evidence that will be collected when measuring these knowledge, skills, and abilities, and they identify the characteristics of the items and tasks that are to be designed in a way to accurately collect that evidence. There will be more about the specifications, the concept of evidence, and the descriptions of items and tasks in the module that focuses on content and item specifications. The second step of the item development process focuses on developing the items and tasks described in the specifications. For the Smarter Balanced Assessment System, more than 40,000 items and performance tasks will be developed, many by educators. The third step is reviewing and revising items and tasks. Each item and task will be reviewed for its content, its accessibility, its sensitivity to cultural, religious, and ethnic issues, and potential bias. Content reviews will be performed by educators. Specialists in accessibility, sensitivity, and bias will perform reviews for these additional features. Based on the reviews, revisions to items and tasks may be made. The fourth step focuses on adding information to further enhance the accessibility of items. In this step, information is added to each item that specifies how to support the accessibility needs of students, including how content is to be read aloud or how to present content in Braille or American Sign Language. Accessibility information is added by specialists with knowledge of specific access needs. This work will be described in greater detail in the module that focuses on universal design and accessibility. The fifth and sixth steps involve piloting and field testing. During piloting, students will perform the items and tasks, and the results will be analyzed to be sure that the items and tasks work as intended. Items that do not function as intended will be reviewed to help determine whether or not an item is eligible for future use and revised as needed. During field testing, the assessment system will be tried out to make sure it is working as intended. Modifications will be made based on findings during the field test. The seventh and final step involves the actual use of an item or task to assess students. Some items and tasks will be assembled into resources or tools that will be used for formative purposes or used in the interim assessment item bank. Collectively, these 7 steps will produce the Smarter Balanced Assessment System. A key concept that guides each of these steps is evidence-centered design. As is described in greater detail in a separate module, evidence-centered design provides a framework that helps clearly define the interpretations or claims Smarter Balanced wants to make about students and their cognition, the observations that provide evidence needed to support those claims, and the types of items and tasks needed to collect that evidence. The use of evidence-centered design is a unique and important feature of the Smarter Balanced assessment system. Smarter Balanced is applying evidence-centered design in many ways, as is described in greater detail in the module that focuses on evidence-centered design. Smarter Balanced has employed evidence-centered design to analyze the Common Core State standards to identify the important skills, knowledge, and abilities that students must develop to be college and career ready. This analysis informed the development of the Smarter Balanced content specifications, which define the claims to be made about students and their learning and define the specific knowledge, skills, and abilities that will be measured by the assessment system. Information contained in the content specifications was then used to develop the item and task specifications, which provide information about the items and tasks that will be developed to collect evidence about student learning. Already, the item specifications have been used to develop a large sample of items and tasks. Item and task writers and reviewers will rely heavily on these documents to guide their work going forward, and it is important to become familiar with these documents. Content specifications are an important tool that will inform the development of all items and tasks. Content specifications provide detailed information about the content that will be measured by the Smarter Balanced assessment system. Discussed in greater detail in the Content and Item Specifications module, content specifications provide important information about the claims educators will make in assessing the achievement of the Common Core State standards. Content specifications also define the specific knowledge, skills, and abilities that will be the target of the assessment and the type of evidence that will be collected through student responses. Finally, content specifications provide the foundation for the item specifications educators will depend on to guide the development and review of items and tasks. Item specifications build on content specifications and provide detailed information about the items and tasks that will be developed to measure each assessment target. As shown in this image, there are several parts to an item specification table. All of the information contained in the item specification table is designed to help an item or task developer understand what evidence is to be collected about which assessment target and through which types of items or tasks. The first few sections of an item specification table restate information contained in the content specifications. Shown here are the claim and assessment targets, as well as the standards to be assessed by the item. The next section describes the evidence that is required in order to support the claim about one or more assessment targets. Next, task models describe the characteristics of items and tasks that may be used to collect evidence. There will be more about task models in a later module. Also shown here is information about potential accessibility concerns that a task model may raise. For example, a task model that asks students to use a line drawing tool to create a precise line of symmetry may create an accessibility challenge for students who have difficulty manipulating a mouse. It is important to consider these concerns and try to minimize them to the extent possible when developing actual items. In some cases, however, an accessibility concern cannot be eliminated, and the item must be marked as inaccessible for students with a specific access need. There will be more about item specifications in a separate module. For now, it is important to know that the item specifications will be the key tool used to guide the work of developing and reviewing items and tasks. To collect evidence about the wide range of assessment targets, Smarter Balanced will use a variety of item and task types. These item and task types fall into 6 broad categories and include selected response items, constructed response items, extended response items, and performance tasks. In addition, there are two categories of technology-rich items and tasks known as technology-enabled and technology-enhanced. Each of these item and task types will be explored in greater detail in the item and task type modules, but let's take a brief look at each category now. Selected response items prompt students to select one or more responses from a set of options. As an example, this item asks students to select the single best response. This type of selected response item is referred to as a multiple choice item. Other selected response items may ask students to select more than one option. As an example, this item asks students to identify all of the properties of a rectangle. Constructed response items prompt students to produce a text or numerical response in order to collect evidence about their knowledge or understanding of a given assessment target. As an example, this item asks students to produce a response that provides evidence about their ability to add and subtract. In some cases, the evidence required to support a claim about a given assessment target necessitates a more extended response. As an example, this item prompts students to provide evidence about their understanding of perimeter and area by producing an extended response. In still other cases, the evidence required to support a claim must be collected through a task for which a student performs multiple actions. For each action, a response is provided. The set of responses are then used to support a claim about student understanding or ability. In these cases, a performance task is necessary. A performance task is used to assess a set of assessment targets as opposed to a narrow focus on just one or two targets, as is typically the case with selected and constructed response items. As an example, this performance task contains multiple parts, each designed to collect specific types of evidence that are combined to make a claim about student ability to read, synthesize, and communicate in writing. There will be more about each type of item and task in separate modules. The Smarter Balanced Assessment System is designed to be administered on computers. For this reason, the assessment system aims to capitalize on the power of computers by employing technology-rich items. Technology-rich items fall into two broad categories: technology-enabled and technology-enhanced. Technology-enabled items make use of multimedia and interactive elements to stimulate the assessment target measured by an item. Technology-enabled items either collect responses from students by requiring them to select one or more responses, or by producing text or numerals. As an example, this item plays a speech for students and asks them to select an option in response to the prompt. Similarly, other items ask students to experiment with interactive tools, like a random sample generator, and then prompt them to produce text-based responses. In these examples, the technology enables the use of a media-rich stimulus but does not produce a new way of providing a response. In contrast, a technology-enhanced item capitalizes on technology to collect evidence through a non-traditional response type. As an example, this item presents a sonnet and prompts students to highlight evidence in the poem that reveal a change in the speaker's message. Similarly, this item asks students to produce a line to collect evidence about their understanding of proportional geometric relationships. In both cases, the response provided by the student is something different than selecting from a limited set of options or producing text or numbers. Smarter Balanced is committed to the use of technology to improve the quality of assessment. However, a technology-enabled or enhanced item will only be developed when it is the only way to access students' understanding. More details about technology-enhanced items are provided in a separate module. As mentioned already, there are several terms and concepts that are key to understanding the Smarter Balanced Assessment System. Among these terms are evidence, universal design, accessibility, sensitivity, and bias. These terms are explored in greater detail in other modules. For now, it is important to know that evidence focuses on the information that students provide about their knowledge, skills, and abilities through the items and tasks educators will help develop and review. Collecting evidence to support claims about student learning is the primary goal of the Smarter Balanced Next Generation Assessment System. Universal design is a concept that focuses on designing items and tasks so that they function as intended for as many students as possible. Universal design is a key concept that will guide development of all items and tasks. Accessibility focuses on including additional information or presenting items and tasks in a different way in order to meet the specific needs of some students. Among these needs are accessing content in Braille, audio, or signed form. While item writers will not be responsible for providing this additional information, it is important to think carefully about designing items that do not contain features that make it difficult to add this supplemental accessibility information. Sensitivity focuses on content contained in an item that may be distracting or upsetting for some students. As an example, references to religious practices or political beliefs can shift some students' focus from the problem at hand and instead place unintended attention toward the religious or political topic. Considering sensitivity is one component of universal design. Bias focuses on the use of names, topics, or contexts that may be unfamiliar to a subgroup of students and which may unintentionally increase the difficulty of an item or task. As an example, asking students to write about what they did during a snow day might create an unintended challenge for students who have never experienced a snow day and may alter what is being measured from writing informational text to writing fiction. Bias is another important component of universal design. This module has provided an overview of the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium and has introduced several terms and concepts that are central to the consortium's development of its next-generation assessment system. These and other ideas will be explored in greater detail in the many upcoming modules.